always a miss. Can't put my finger on it, but it's there. Wait for it to subside, but my mind won't upgrade. Waiting for the clear. Is it bad? Sometimes I like it when I lose control. There's something in it that's so beautiful.
Hello, and welcome to the Pillow Talk, where on today's episode you might get a little spooked, but you also might get a little bit of friendly advice on today's Freaky Friday episode. And my name is Jacob. You'll probably remember me from your last episode that you listened to. Oh, there's my
Oh my God.
there's my laugh. Somehow Cydia was able to create a soundbite out of my laugh. And I
It was
think
awesome.
it is awesome. So you want to introduce yourself really quickly?
Hi, I am your co-host, Cedia,
Yes,
and
my co-host.
together we are the Pillow Talk.
The Pillow
Welcome,
Talk.
everybody, to our second episode.
Yes, second. Ooh, second episode. Oh my god. So if you were here on the last episode, if you listened on the last episode, we were talking about quarantine and our lives during quarantine, before quarantine, and then we also got a question from one of our followers, and we answered a question about love, and it perfectly segues. I feel like I am always saying that I always say segue. It's probably one of my favorite words, but we're segueing into today's episode, and it kind of has to do with love, but it also kind of doesn't. Cydia, do you want to give a little small snippet of what it is that we're going to talk about today?
Yes, today is Freaky Friday, where I tell Jacob about a case. And he already knows about this case, but I'm just
I
like,
do.
retelling him about it. It's for all our true crime junkies out there. Um, we might be doing this segment every other Friday. But yeah, today we're going to be talking about um Jodi Arias and
Jodi Arias, and I think it's fitting that we decided to talk about Jodi Arias as our first episode because my drag persona's name is Jodi. I promise I'm not a serial killer.
oh my god. Yeah, we don't condone violence on this podcast
At all.
um at all. So so yeah, I'm excited to talk. Well, not really. Like it's a pretty, you know, it's a
It's
pretty sad case,
yeah, it's a pretty grim
but
topic. It's a pretty
it
dark,
yeah.
but I feel like it's something that we can talk about a lot because of the whole entire situation that happened with Jodi Arias. Is something that I feel like we can both comment on because you know
We've been
uh
in similar
yeah,
situations.
we've been in similar situations, and I feel like it's it's fitting that we talk about it. I'm sure a lot of people who are listening have probably also been in similar situations, but of course we all didn't take that grim turn of what ended up
Yeah.
happening with the Jodi Arias case. Which I think, okay, really quickly, in the last episode, we kind of talked about titling, didn't we? Like for that last episode, we just said we were going to name it Pilot because like TV.
Oh,
Yeah. And
right.
then, so for this one, I think we should just name it Jodi because a lot of people,
Jodi?
yes, because a lot of people that are gonna like listen to the episode are probably thinking that we're gonna be talking about me, when in reality we're not.
Well, they probably might think we're talking about Jodie Foster.
Jodie
'Cause there's
Foster, Jodie
yeah,
Harsh. There's so many Jodies out there.
yeah, that's so true. But yeah, we are today going to be talking about Miss Jodi Arias and Mr. Travis Alexander and how a toxic relationship can really take a turn for the worse.
A horrible turn for
Um,
the worst.
yes. So, um, about this case, Miss Jodi, she was I guess well, from what I had read, was that she had dropped out of school at the 11th grade because they had caught her, growing weed. Um, I think that was
Growing
before
weed?
growing weed. Like she
I
grew
did
weed,
I
like
did not
in
know
a
that.
house.
Wow. Okay. So
Yeah,
another thing I do not condone. I don't think that we should be partaking in narcotics of any kind or any kind of drugs or anything like that. But I have a lot of friends that are avid weed smokers, and yeah. And I feel like the charges and stuff like that that people get for smoking pot, like pot is like legalized in like so many states now, and it more than likely is gonna. I'm hoping because of all of my friends that have had previous like charges and stuff like that with like
they got
um
expunged.
we're hoping that it gets
Expunged.
expunged, once the weed gets legalized. But I think that's badass of her that she fucking was growing weed in the 11th grade. Like what?
That was like completely unheard of. Like yeah, when I was in the 11th grade, I was just, you know, existential and like depressed, which is
When
like still the same.
oh my god, stop. When I was in
No,
the
but yeah.
11th grade,
I was like watching Hannah Montana on TV.
I love how you say that, because when I was in the 11th grade, I was like doing theater. Like I was like super up the theater butt, like hardcore. Like I thought I was gonna fucking like go to Hollywood or be like on Broadway. Like I straight up was like I was like I'm a singer, I'm an actor, I'm a dancer, I'm a triple threat. Like I'm a triple threat. And
Yeah.
in reality, I only knew the dances that were taught to us in like when we did Beauty and the Beast. and like
Uh,
and like I could all I mean I can't, like, I'm not gonna say I can sing. I can't sing. I can hold a tune, and I have like some semblance of pitch, and I can probably harmonize too. But I'm not like I'm obviously not a professional singer. But other than the singing, I also wasn't an actor, even in the slightest. Everyone says that I'm extremely dramatic, but I don't see it.
yeah. Well, I know of one person who really took this and, you know, a person who's really dramatic. I tried segueing and it didn't work. Wow. You're much better at segueing than I am. But anyway, so Miss Jody, going back to Miss Jody, she, ended up getting I guess she ended up leaving high school at the 11th grade, and then she was a waitress for maybe like 6 years, and then she got into this like those MLMs. They're called like I guess this one, I think it was called prepaid legal, where you like pay ahead for legal services. So like in the event
Okay.
that you know get into like legal trouble, you
Do
have
you now do you think she got into like that prepaid legal like job because like I kind of feel like there was like a correlation between her with like the pot and then her probably needing, I feel like she was probably like on her computer like searching. Wait, what era was it? I always forget, like, when did this happen?
this was like in the 2000s,
Oh, okay. I feel like
2003.
she was probably like on her like Mac Color. Do you remember the Mac Colors? It was like a big box desktop.
Oh, yeah, I thought those were like only for students though.
No, I feel like I thought they were sold to everybody. Were they not?
Oh, well, I don't know.
No?
We were kids back then. We didn't know about
I
these
mean, well,
things.
we had them, but like I thought they were like, oh yeah, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I didn't know about. I just assumed everyone that liked Mac products had one, like with those giant big Mac color.
I mean,
Um,
I only saw them in schools. I
really? Okay,
I
then I
was
guess I'm.
poor.
Oh, me too.
Oh
um,
my god.
Me too. But yeah, like so I guess what I was about to say was like, do you think that she was probably like, I need legal help, so let me find, and then she ended up finding prepaid legal? Like
No, I think that like many of us sometimes we find ourselves in situations where like we need a job, and you end up getting like one of your friends one day ends up hitting you up on Facebook. Hi boss babe. Um would you would you like to start your own business and work from home and this and that, and she was probably tired of her waitressing gig and was like, yeah, I want something different. And she was like, let me just do
Where was she
prepaid
working
legal.
at again? Does
She
it
was a wait. I don't know the restaurant. I don't think I don't, based on my research, I don't think
okay,
there was like the name of the restaurant was included. But she was a waitress for a while,
I
like for
love
like
that.
maybe like 5 years or three,
I love
around
that.
that time.
I've never
And
personally been a waitress or a waiter or
well,
anything like that.
well, if you know about MLMs, they're like you end up buying or you end up investing money, right? Into whatever product or service that they're offering you. And then from there, you go on and you recruit other people. And it's a pyramid scheme, but
Oh,
it's not a pyramid scheme.
okay. So
It's
I
like
I
it's a
got thrown in
legal pyramid scheme.
okay, I almost got thrown into one of those ones. It was called, s a it was ACN
I have
or
no idea what that is.
well, little tidbit because I guess I almost got thrown into an MLM. I almost and pretty much what it was, they were a company that could help people, that had, like, DirecTV, T-Mobile, and, like, other such, like, stuff that we use, like, on a day-to-day, like electricity, stuff like that, at a cheaper rate, and then somehow everybody that was, like, working the job ended up, like, really rich. Like, the guy who was trying to sell me this job, like, to start working for him was like, "I have 2 Teslas." And I was like, "Okay, wow, I think
Yeah, they
this is"
always have like a car or something.
Yeah.
Like they have like these like Mary Kay. You get like the pink Cadillac. And
Oh
then
my
like you
god.
have all these
I
like
wanna sell Mary Kay now.
conferences. Oh my god.
I'm
You should
kidding.
do like you should like get like do your YouTube channel that you mentioned you were gonna do.
Oh,
And
actually, I've decided to transition into TikTok because it's a lot easier.
oh,
Like,
dead.
straight up,
Okay.
like, no, I'm being serious. Like,
Well,
I'll
you
I
should
should
buy some Mary Kay makeup and just like put it on your TikTok and like review it. And then like people will want to buy it from you.
I'm still gonna
Maybe,
do,
maybe
like,
we'll see.
YouTube, but, like, not yet. Like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
start slow, you know?
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
Well, now that I was what we were talking about is the Cadillacs or like the cars and the conferences and all that stuff. And
Mhm.
during one of these conferences that she went to go out, I'm assuming, or I think I had read somewhere that um she had this friend, a mutual friend with Travis, the
Okay.
victim. And they I guess their friends got together and like set them up on like a blind date on this conference, and
Mhm.
that's where they met initially. And she was like captivated by him because he was like one of the the higher ups, or like the one of the most successful um people selling prepaid legal services. So she was like completely enthralled with him. And I'm sure because he was not a bad looking guy. He was kind of cute. And she was beautiful, I think, in my opinion. She looked good. Like I think they made like a good looking couple.
Mhm.
And I'm sure from her background, she she had dated older men in the past that ended up like using her and stuff. And but Travis seemed like a different person. She saw in him marriage potential. And um I guess she right away was like, you know, balls deep in this dude. But a little bit a little bit about Travis. Travis had like a really bad childhood. His both of his parents were drug addicts.
Mhm.
They suffered a lot of abuse and neglect. And he ended up getting, basically saved from that situation by his grandma, or him and his siblings.
Okay.
So that he came from a really
Ooh.
broken home, and his grandma went and got him, and you know, were living pretty good after that. Things got better.
Mhm.
And yeah, so he came from a really like bad background too, but with that background also his grandma was like a big Mormon person.
Like,
So
oh my
he
god.
got into like she got all of her grandkids into Mormonism
Oh my god.
and like the Church of the Latter-day Saints and all that stuff. Um so that played like a big part in his life. So religion for him was like,
A big thing.
his yeah, it was like a big thing in his life. And he would always turn to religion and stuff like that for comfort. And
I feel like,
in the Mormon
mhm.
religion,
Yeah.
it's like prohibited to like have sex before marriage. It's like a big no-no.
Oh
Like
no.
you can't even touch like genital like nothing.
Like your
So
own
they're really
or just
strict.
others?
I don't know about your own, but for sure, like, you're not supposed to have sex before marriage. That's, like,
I
one
feel
of
like
their big rules.
I feel like
We both
if
would not fucking
I would
be
fail. Like I would
we would be awful Mormons.
they would fucking they'd find me and they'd be like, "Wow, okay, well, we should crucify him. Like he's terrible." Like not even
I
sorry,
always
that's really
oh my
bad.
god.
They'd probably like ostracize me, of course, and they'd make me wear like a red A for like adultery, like hardcore, like on
Yeah, for
on
sure.
on my left kitty, it would just be like a big red A. I'd probably also be accused of witchcraft, and I'd just be like, "I'm so sorry." Just so like,
I
just so
love
y'all
that.
y'all know that's my actual laugh. Like that's my laugh. Like period. Like
Period.
yeah.
So
So
I always when like I know here like where we live, I sometimes like I live in front of a church.
you live in
Like
front of a Mormon church, right?
yeah, I live in front of a church and like
Hey,
back
you know
when,
what's like really weird? I've been getting
what?
friend requested on Facebook by a bunch of like Mormon guys. And for some reason they I guess they're like here on their mission. It's been 5 of them already. It's been 5 guys that have met like friend requested me. I
Are they
accepted
cute?
like well, well, um, I mean, as cute as a white boy can come, which let's be honest, before they open their mouth or like do or say anything, they're attractive, and then you hear their opinions. And one of them tried to get me to go to church. One of them messaged me pretty recently, actually, and I was like, I can't, like, sorry, like, I didn't want to be like, I'm so sorry, I don't believe in like that, you know. We'll
Yeah,
get into like spirituality. I was gonna say actually a little while ago. I was gonna say like I think spirituality is like a really important thing.
yeah.
And yeah, like in no way do I like not condone any kind of spirituality. It's just I feel like some religions are a little bit extreme. Like for instance, like in Mormon religion, you like actually I think it's like every religion you can't have sex before marriage, right? Or just about
I
every.
I don't know. I'm like awful with religion.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I think
like
the standards have changed obviously because people are
yeah,
having sex out of wedlock now, and kids are being made before the ring hits the finger, which is I don't care. Like I think that's fine. I to me I'm kind of like I just want everyone to be happy, and if that's what makes you happy,
right.
then good. Um, but what I was gonna say is, yeah, I think it's like a little bit weird. Like since you were bringing up like the Mormon church in front of your house, that I've been getting and then like I go and look at their mutual friends, and I'm like, it's a bunch of gay guys and like drag queens. So I
I
was
mean,
like,
maybe I don't know, maybe they're trying to I don't
I
know,
feel like
like
they're trying to convert
I
like
can't I
the gay
can't speak
community.
about Mormonism because I have one family member who's a Mormon, but like that's it.
Oh
So I don't really
wow,
know that much about it. Yeah, like
that,
one of my mom's cousins is a Mormon, but that's like that's as
that's
like
so
far as I
weird.
know. Well, like, if you think about it, like, I
um,
mean, my family's from Honduras, so, like, I'm sure that they had, like, their missions and they went over there and they got one.
yeah. So, like, really quickly, I'm just gonna this is more of a joke to me than anything when it comes to Mormon. I do not, like, think that this I think it's funny when I think about it in retrospect, but it's probably, like, a huge mockery of, like, the Mormon religion. But
Oh
I don't think
God.
it's right. I wanted to mention it just briefly. I'm not gonna go remember when we had this conversation before about Mormonism, I went off
Yeah,
and, like, I'm not about to go off.
you did.
There's, like,
You
a
did.
huge, like, porn, like, genre, that could like, it's about Mormonism, and it's, like, Mormon Boys or something like that, and it's pretty much about, so you like, when you go off before you go off on your mission, you have to be, like, confirmed, I think, something like that, from what I've heard, 'cause I've actually never partaken in this specific porn. I was a couple of my friends are the ones that have told me about this, and I'm just like, I think it's fucking wild. But pretty much the elder is that's what they have? It's like their version of like a priest or a father or whatever.
No, it's like they have their bishop and then they have like the elders
Okay,
who
so
like
the elder,
yeah, I think.
like in this specific porn genre, it's like the elder has to get anointed. It's like a part of their process of them leaving before. But at the end of it, they just end up having sex.
Oh my God, we're gonna
Like
get in trouble.
well,
You know what?
like
All
I
of our
said,
Mormons out there, we love
yeah,
you. You know,
I don't yeah, I love everybody.
no disrespect at all. This
No,
is
yeah,
just
no
what we
disrespect
hear
either.
from.
Like, see, this is just what I hear from like honestly, like, I'm gonna be we're probably gonna have an episode about gay people, but gay people are rotted. Like, we're gonna have an episode of like, about gays, like, gay men, not gay like, not everybody else in the LGBTQ community, but gay men are like, what the fuck? Like, me and I used to be obviously pretty terrible, but there are extents that I do not reach, like, when it comes to, like, the things that Gabe and then have done, like, there's a lot of things that we could talk about, like Puerto Vallarta and
Oh
fucking,
yeah,
all kinds of stuff, like whole armchairs and whatever. And
yeah.
for anybody who knows anything about, I'm an avid Trixie and Katya stan, and they have a podcast as well, and they have a lot of things.
Shout out to Trixie and Katya from
Trix
RuPaul's Drag
Yeah,
Race.
yeah, they won the Trixie won RuPaul's Drag Race. Woo! Shameless plug because I fucking love that's
Uh,
a big thing of mine because I love Drag Race. But yeah, like getting back into I guess Travis and he was a Mormon
topic.
and
Yeah.
the topic. Yeah, we got
Yeah.
so off topic. We're the queens of getting off topic. We're the queens of getting
I
off
mean,
topic.
I was on. I think I was pretty on topic,
Yeah, I like to get off
in
topic.
my opinion.
Sorry,
You do.
I do. I like
No,
to
it's
drive the
okay. That's what podcasts
conversation.
are for. We
Yeah,
have. I mean, yeah, we have like we have like an hour, and I think a podcast is usually like an hour and 30 minutes.
about yeah.
Um, but yeah. Well, talking speaking about Travis, um, yeah, I always wanted to ask Mormons, because there would be like dudes in bikes, in the like their white shirts and
I've
little
always
black
noticed
pants and
they're on bikes and, like, what is all of that? Like, I don't
I
get it.
don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I think you know what? We need to have like a Mormon person on the podcast to
Oh
talk
my
about
god.
this. This would be
Yeah,
so cool.
yeah,
I
I
think
would,
Jacob never wants me to bring it. Like I had suggested to him on like other episodes, like we should bring in like a priest and like
okay.
just pick their brain, like philosophical wise, like ask them
I
like
have a
really tough
reason, of
questions.
course, but I'm not gonna mention it now because of, like, I
Yeah,
wanna save that for when we
for later.
for later when we speak about spirituality and, like, religion and everything like that. I have nothing against any religion, like, at all. I just have something against certain things within their teachings. I guess that's where I'm at with that. But I won't get too much into it. Like she did say like let's have a priest on and like I'd be down. It's just there's a lot of things that I would want to talk about that I know probably wouldn't be appropriate and I don't want like anybody to feel offended or anything like that. I just want everyone to kind of like want to flock
Yeah.
to our podcast and not feel like they can't listen to us because of for whatever reason. But yeah, I'd be
But
down
I
to
feel
have a
like
Mormon on.
I think if we have like it's just like a healthy conversation. It's not
Yeah.
like, I would just want to know like, if you if you're a terrible person and like before you die, if you say you're sorry for all the things and you actually mean it, like do you go to heaven? Like is that anyway, we're getting
Yeah,
really
we're
off
getting
topic.
super off topic.
But yeah, those are like the things that we're trying to bring up for the podcast. Anyway, sorry. So Travis and Jody met each other at this conference and they both, took a big liking to each other and they like I don't know if they had sex that same like week that
The
they
first
were seeing each
meeting.
other, but it did get hot and steamy
Ooh,
after a while.
hot and steamy.
And I think they were doing like this long distance like talking thing. I believe that they had exchanged like a bunch of emails together. Hold on, give me 1
Emails.
second.
Were
Oh,
they dating back then?
about 82,000 emails were shared
82,000. Were
between
they texting? They were pretty much texting.
the two. Well, yeah, they're basically texting via email. Imagine cleaning out that inbox, y'all.
I
Oof.
wouldn't even want to try, like, honestly.
Yeah, no.
That sounds like a lot.
So it really was. And yeah, so essentially
I
what had
have to
happened was
I have to say really quickly,
okay, go ahead.
could you imagine, like, nowadays we get notifications on our email for, like, so many things. I'm sure back then it was probably different, but could you imagine doing that nowadays? Every single email that would come in, you'd be thinking, "Oh my god, is it him? Is it him?" And then it's like, "No, it's a coupon for Old Navy, like, sorry." And,
Oh
like
my
and then she's
god.
just like, "Fucking Old Navy," and then finally his email comes in and she's like, "It's probably just another coupon," and when she finally opens it, it's, like, him, and she's, like, fucking jizzing herself or something.
Literally. That it's very, very interesting. Like I guess the back then, even though it wasn't I feel like it wasn't even that long ago, but it really does feel like forever.
It does.
But yeah. So we okay, so they ended up exchanging about 82,000 emails and I think in total of their whole relationship, right? I don't know like when they were first, talking to each other. They were like in the talking stage.
Mhm.
And then after a while, like I guess they decide I think she lived in California and he lived in Arizona. And they had like a common friend.
Is there, like, a big
Um,
Mormon population in Arizona?
I don't
Or
know. I know Utah does,
yeah,
but I
well,
don't know about
Utah's where, like, most Mormons come from.
yeah, that's like the Mecca. Anyway, so they had like a little in between place that they would go to. um, like kind of in the middle. And they both would travel to and from, you know, like I guess to meet each other halfway. They would go there to their friend's house, and after a while, like Travis's friends were like, "Hey, this girl, you're talking to her. Is she gonna be your missus for the dating is like a good thing I guess, but like in Mormon practices, like from what I understand, you date with the purpose of marriage, right? And in this case, Travis was like 28, 29 years old when he met Jody.
Uh-huh.
What happened?
I have to say really quickly, I think it's, like, so, like, not funny. I mean, okay, like, obviously now that I'm, like, older, uh, I'm, like, I kinda date with the purpose of, like, staying with the person for, like, a long period of time. So right now,
Right.
my boyfriend, I will not say his name because I know you had a lot of trouble trying to bleep out his name yesterday.
Literally
But as of right
editing
now,
like a
yeah.
crazy person.
As of right now, like, because I'm 25 part 2, um I say that joke just because, my year of being 25 was thrown to shit when the pandemic hit. But anyway, what I was gonna say is that now I date for the purpose of, like, to being with someone long term. But how old was she when they started dating, quote unquote?
She she was, I think, 26.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, no, no. Okay, I get it. I understand why she was probably like, I need to like. She's Jade, like, but like, I guess what I was trying to say is like, if you're raised on like that like practice, could you imagine like being like, I can't date unless I know I'm gonna marry that person? Because as I've grown up, I never dated anybody, probably up until like 2 years ago, with the intention of marrying them, you know,
Right.
or with the intention of being with them for long periods of time. Now it's different, obviously, because I feel like I'm old. I'm not, but like,
That
but I just can't imagine. It's so like unfathomable to me because I feel like us as young people, we're not out here trying to date to like, find marriage. Where most of us are just trying to have fun, like I feel.
Well, I think I can say that, like, I think that the younger 20, the ones that, like, are, like, 20 and
Uh-huh.
maybe up to 20, 23, 24
Yeah.
are
Well,
mostly out there just trying to find themselves and have
yeah,
fun,
and yeah,
versus, like, people in the older, like, 20 bracket,
uh-huh.
they take their relationships a lot more
Yeah,
seriously.
yeah.
I could be wrong,
Absolutely,
but that's
probably.
that's just purely off of my experience and observations that I've made.
So another thing that I was gonna say is that I feel like millennials and Gen Zers were kind of like ruining the standard of relationships and the standard of marriage. Because have you ever like seen any of those articles where they're like, millennials are not buying diamond? Like it's like a thing. It's
Millennials are ruining malls
yeah,
with their online stores.
yes, yeah, stuff like that. Like, and then like I read an article the other day, and it was like something about the industry getting pissed off about wedding traditions no longer being followed by millennials and Gen Z kids.
Well, because weddings are super expensive, dude,
Not only are they
and
expensive, but like some of the traditions, um like the throwing of the rice, jumping of the broom, and then the old, something borrowed, something blue, having to have a
right.
diamond ring, like all those things, like they're derived, I believe, from like superstition, right? That's like a it's like a
I don't know. I've never been married, so I wouldn't know.
well,
And
apparently
I've never wanted to be married. Like, I never wanted to actually get married. And
I
now I think my mentality has changed, but I don't know.
growing up, it wasn't like one of the things that I was like, oh my god, I want to get married. Like no, um, but a lot of
But Miss Jody was
Jody
that kind
wanted
of
to get married.
girl.
I mean, it was a different time when she was 26, so
Oh
I could
yeah.
understand why she was like, I want to get married at 26 or find someone to starting a relationship with. But I guess going back to like her experience, or the Travis's experience. I feel like because you said like Mormonism, they didn't like the idea of dating. I said, it was just we got off topic when it came to talking about that, but like I think it's like so weird to think of that, like, don't date,
Oh yeah.
you have to be with someone to get married to them. Like,
Yeah, I
how does
mean,
that conversation go? Like,
what do you mean?
well, like, imagine, I'm just kind of imagining being Travis and like being told like,
Well, at that point, like, he was already, like, 29, 28
oh, okay,
years
so
old,
he was older.
and he was older, and one, like,
Okay.
when you're older and you've been single for that long, like, the Mormon church kinda side eyes you, like,
Uh,
"Why haven't you
yeah.
gotten hitched yet, dude?" Um, and, well, they met back in 2006, and she was also a photographer. So and so she
Oh,
was, like, doing the prepaid legal
uh-huh.
and photography while
Uh-huh.
he was doing, like, he was working for prepaid legal, and he was also, like, a motivational speaker. And apparently he was, like, a good motivational speaker. I've never seen any of his videos, but you can find them on YouTube, and,
Would you happen to
I've seen.
have a picture of him? I wanna see what this guy looked like. I've never actually when I looked into the Jodi Arias case, I completely neglected to see what Travis looked like because I was so I thought, just like you, that Jodi Arias was also very pretty. Um, and
Yeah,
also
she wasn't ugly.
she was ugly.
Some people just hate on her because, like, she did something awful, which is, like, fair.
Yeah,
But
we're
I
we're
mean,
gonna we're
this
gonna
is
get
how he
into
looked
it.
like.
Okay, I would not be. I'm sorry, really.
I mean, he wasn't awful looking,
He wasn't, I guess. Yeah, you're right. But he looks like
I mean, they made like a cute
they
couple. I
did.
mean, he looks like a average white dude who
Okay.
isn't bad looking.
I just thought
He's all right.
she
I
was
wouldn't
pretty.
I
She
wouldn't
was really
be.
pretty.
She was really
And
pretty,
in a bit, we're gonna get
but
into,
now she
like,
looks like a psycho. Like,
I
she looks
mean,
crazy. Look at
that's
that.
what happens when you go to jail. Like,
Yeah, that's what happens when you kill your 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 fuck buddy.
yeah.
Um,
So, like, let's get into that part right now because what I wanna say is really quick. Wait,
uh-huh.
what were you gonna say? Go for it.
Okay. So before we get into that aspect of the relationship, I did want to say that they did end up, getting together around, you know, September 2006.
Okay.
And she decided to convert to Mormonism for this dude because she was so determined on marrying him because he said that he was going to marry a Mormon,
Oh my
because
god.
that's typically what they do in that situation, like or Mormons, they marry other Mormons,
Mhm.
Jewish people marry other Jewish people,
Yeah.
Catholics marry other Catholics, like there are some
Nowadays.
exceptions, right?
Yeah.
But typically that's what they go to, like
Yeah.
people in their same faith. So anyway, so she ended up converting to Mormonism,
Oh
and
my god.
even then, homegirl did not know. Homegirl did not listen to, like, the red flags she was seeing. Apparently, like, she had caught Travis talking to other women, but not in, like, a friendly way, like in a sexual way. Allegedly, that's what she said. And yeah, so she caught him in a lot of things that were a little bit questionable and were like red flags, you know, overall, and she ignored them, and I
I
guess she was
am the
so
queen
desperate
of
on
ignoring red
wanting this
flags.
person. Huh?
I am the CEO, the president, the queen, the fucking of ignoring red flags.
Oh yeah,
Like,
me too.
we're getting into talking about red flags today, right? Like
Oh yeah, we
later on.
we
Okay.
we are getting, yeah, we really are. And not
Okay.
only not just for men, not just red flags for men, but red flags for women too,
Yeah,
because women can be just as toxic in a relationship that men, like, as men can be too.
absolutely. Relationships are a two-way streak. It takes two to
Yeah,
tango.
they are. Yeah, for sure.
I
And
just triggered myself because my ex would always fucking say relationships are a two-way streak. It takes two to tango. Like every time we would get into like an argument, and I'd just be like, "You started this argument, and you're expecting me
oh my
for
god.
you he." Sorry, really quickly about one of my relationships. He would expect for me to just take all of the like him being like rude and not want me to get mad. Like what? That should have been a red flag.
Yeah, that should have been a red flag. Well, um Miss Jody didn't listen to the red flags, and she was just so eager on changing herself to please him. And that should have been a red flag for this dude, Travis, to just cut things off and, just sit down and talk to her and be like, "Look, um,
I'm sure he was
I
trying to get like
I mean, he did. I think he did. He did, like,
yeah, but
seriously talk to her,
I
but
kind of feel like he was probably like, "Oh, she wants to be a Mormon? Cool. I can tell everybody at the Mormon church that I converted somebody." Like,
yeah, I think it was more like a thing for his, like, ego or something.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so she ended up, I don't know what I think what ended up happening was that they ended up breaking up in 2007. But they continued to see each other, like, to have sex.
Huh?
Um,
That's a
and
big
then she
no-no,
ends up
I feel like.
that
Wouldn't
is a
it be?
very big, yeah, very big
And
no-no. I am a firm believer, if you end up, like, you know what? Now I think my mindset has changed. I used to be like, if you break up with me, that is it. You're never gonna come back. Get out of my life forever. But now I'm just like, there's like certain, I guess, certain like special circumstances where I think I would make like exceptions, but there are just some people that like fuck you over so badly that you just don't want anything to do with them, you
Yeah.
know? So I totally understand, that, but like also there's like that no contact rule. Like once you break up with your partner, like it's not healthy to continue on communication unless you both know that y'all are not going to get back together, you know? I think like cuz there's some people like, "Oh, do you still want to be friends,
I
like after this?"
I guess the only thing that I can comment on that, only because I've been through it, is I feel like the only reason why somebody would want to feel like they should try again, I guess is the thing, is because you always have that doubt in the back of your head of like, oh, like what if this could work? Like, I don't want to lose this if I know it could work, you know?
Right.
And I can attest to that. I've been a not a victim. I've been a somebody who got broken up with and then took that person back because I had that
You had
feeling.
you had the f- you had hope that things could
Yeah,
work out
yeah.
a second time around. And sometimes they can, under like special circumstances, like sometimes
Sometimes it can help.
it can work.
It can work 6 times.
But but oh my god, but as you can see here in this situation, it didn't work out, and they ended up going into, this sex spree, and she ended up moving to Arizona, the same town that Travis lived in, a couple blocks away from where he lived.
Oh my god, that
Wh-
should have also
which
been
is
a
like
red flag.
that is such a red flag. Sis did not know how to let him go. Like he had that white devil
I
dick,
want to
probably.
know, did his dick like spew wine or something? Or,
I don't
like,
know. I
what
think,
was
you know what?
it?
I think she was like so. I'm not trying to
Hypnotized?
condone what she's. I don't. I'm not trying to condone what she did because what she did was awful.
Absolutely.
But I think she just felt like she had been used for so long, and she was just tired. She got tired of it eventually, and she just like snapped. She just snapped. Like any person that is under continuous puts himself in cycles of abuse with other relationships, and you end up super heartbroken and super hurt each time. Like you get more and more discouraged and more disappointed and more heartbroken. Like that lady, like she kept holding out for Travis to be like,
Yeah,
let me put a ring on it. But he never did, and I guess that frustrated her. And
I'd be
oh, I'm
pretty
getting a little bit too
frustrated
ahead of
too,
myself.
honestly.
So she apparently used to clean his house, like when she moved over
What?
to Arizona. She would clean his house and they would have sex. And she was there for like about a year, and then she moved back to California in 2008. And then in May 28th of 2008, a gun was reported as stolen from her grandparents' home where she had been staying.
Oh my
And
god.
then um, on
Wait,
June 4th,
did the grandparents report it stolen?
yeah, the grandparents reported it
Wow,
as
her
stolen.
grandparents were like, "Damn, she stole our gun." Like, they
Probably. I mean, I don't think that they thought, maybe, I don't know. You kind of know if you
Jody's,
you
like,
know.
grandma was just like, "Get her." I'm
Oh
kidding,
my
I'm
god.
kidding.
Her grandma literally snitched on her.
Heck
Literally. No, I'm
yeah.
kidding. It's a
Nope,
joke.
sorry, we
It's a
don't.
joke.
It's joke.
Um it's a joke. So in June 4th of 2008, um she goes on a road trip to
Ooh,
Utah.
we're getting into the juicy details, aren't we?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
Okay.
okay, I'm getting a little bit sorry, so sorry. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So, during the time that she lived in, Arizona, she or Travis tried, like, breaking up with her, like, officially ending their little friends with benefits situation, um, and she was, like, not having it, and she would get super upset when she would find out that Travis was seeing other women, and she would send threatening emails to the women that he
Oh
was
my
seeing,
god.
and she slashed all of 4 of his tires. She was like Miranda Lambert.
I
I tried
drove
my
back into the side of his pretty little souped up four-wheel drive. Caught my name into his leather seats. She doesn't ever say anything. Does she say I slashed? Oh, she said I slashed all
Yeah,
four tires. Yeah,
yeah.
okay. She
She
does. It's
went
in the song.
full Miranda Lambert on his ass.
It's not Miranda
And
Lambert.
who is that?
It's that's Carrie Underwood.
What?
Carrie
Carrie
Underwood.
Underwood?
Are you about to
Really?
look it up really quickly? But while you're looking up if that song is Carrie Underwood, I'm gonna say really quickly, I have only been in one friends with benefits relationship where things have gone, I guess, awry. I guess I
Oh,
said.
you're right. You're right. Oh my
um,
god. I don't listen to country that often, y'all.
it's
Even though I'm
okay.
from Texas, I
Same.
don't listen to country that often. I
I
thought it
only
was
like
Miranda
certain
Lambert. Sorry.
country songs anyway, but I've been in one um relationship that was a friends with benefits type relationship where things went awry. For me, it was because we both caught feelings and then he like broke it off because he felt like he was in the space to like be in a relationship with me, and I was still too young to even consider being in a relationship with him. I think I was like
Right.
20, 21, something like that. And for whatever reason that was too young. But thinking back on it now, like yeah, it is actually too young. And the only reason I say that is because when you're 21, you just turned 21, so you can go. "Ah, ah."
Literally.
Yeah, you get to go and drink and, like, it's legal and stuff like that. So that's probably one of the things that most, like, 21-year-olds are focused on, but I was, like, wanting I wanted to I was enjoying
Dude, when
the
you're
time, I
21, you
guess,
don't
and
know what
then
you want. You don't know what you want. You
yeah,
don't
I mean, I
like
didn't.
when I
I
look
mean,
back,
I
I look
was an
back on my like
overachiever
early
kid.
20s. I look back on
Uh-huh.
my early 20s and I genuinely didn't know what I wanted in a relationship, menos. I had no
Yeah.
idea. I had all of these dreams and all of these like notions in my head that I thought, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, which is good. It's good to have goals and aspirations and stuff like that,
Mhm.
but you need to be realistic about them too. Like you can't just,
Absolutely.
you know, you have to
And
plan and you have to like make tough decisions
yeah.
sometimes because
Well,
at the end of the day, like, when you end up being like our age, you grow up and then you get like heartbroken because you're just
oh,
like, oh,
yeah.
I didn't do. Then you end up feeling like,
No,
oh, I
I
didn't do
I ended
I
up
didn't do
getting
enough.
very heartbroken in the sense that, like, I really liked this guy that I was messing around with, and I thought in my head we could be in a relationship. It's gonna happen. We're gonna be in a relationship, blah blah blah. I was greatly mistaken. He told me we couldn't have sex anymore. We couldn't fool around him. I couldn't hang out with him at his house anymore. He was like, we can still be friends. He gave me the same thing that Travis gave to. Did you say that like he said that like we should still be friends or something like that, or was that something else
I
that
mean,
you said?
they kind of both mutually decided that they'd be like friendly towards
Okay,
one another.
well,
I honestly think it was more of Jody's thing to
okay.
keep him in her life because I feel like Travis at the time was like so like focused on finding a wife. Like he wasn't gonna waste time with her ass anymore. He wanted to
I
go on and move on to the next person.
What was wrong with her? I don't understand what was wrong with her.
I don't know. I think it was because like she gave it up quickly, which is like dumb, but that's literally like what Mormons are, not all Mormons, right? But
Mhm.
for the most part, like that's a big no-no. Like that is like not a good thing to do to have sex before marriage. And he wanted a nice Mormon virginal girl,
Oh
and
my
she was
god.
not
But I
that.
thought you said that they weren't okay, what they weren't
What?
having, like, sex, were they?
They were having
Like,
sex.
penetrated through the vagina, or
I think they were having anal sex.
oh my god. So she was still technically a virgin. So, like, why?
No, she had had sex before with her
Oh,
other
okay.
boyfriends.
Yes, I forgot about okay, I get it now. I the pieces are coming together.
Yeah.
Um, the problem with staying friends though is well, what I notice when you stay friends with either an ex or somebody that you used to be just friends with benefits. What I noticed with my relationship with that guy was that the reason we were both like let's stay friends was because we had a friend group, and every time we would get together with that friend group, we would like it was like magnets. We were like always next to each other and kind of ignoring everybody else, and we'd end up like making out like in a corner somewhere in a dark room in a corner behind like
Oh my god.
everywhere. Like we would go out and we would just end up talking to each other and flirting, and then things would just go down the route of like us making out, and it never went anywhere else. But then we realized we literally couldn't be friends because every time we would talk to each other it would just be this like weird flirty like thing, and then we would end up lip smacking and
And
fucking
other things too.
no, that was it. It was just making out for me. Like we
Oh,
were always in
didn't
public, so why would I
no, I mean, didn't you okay, never mind, never mind. Well,
oh my
we're not
god,
yeah, no, never mind.
I was with a
So so, yeah, so I'm I used to talk to this dude who was a fuck
Ooh,
boy. He was a fuck
fuck
boy,
boys.
and he had told me, or I was under the impression that he was interested in me in a relationship type way because he
Uh-huh.
came on to me pretty strongly,
I think
right?
I know who it is.
Yeah, yeah.
To
And
the okay, I'm not gonna say just go. Keep going. And what?
okay, okay. And he was very much like all about me in the beginning and very, very, very sexual in the beginning, very sexual. And I was like, yeah, I already knew he was a fuck boy, like I knew it, but I was just like, you know what? He's kind of cute. You know, and I'm a sucker for young dudes. So at the time,
Ooh,
not
not a
anymore. Not
girl.
anymore. I think I was like 23 and he was like 22, 21. So
Yeah.
I I just like, you know, just continued on that situation knowing that like nothing was gonna come out of it. Like I knew that nothing was gonna come out of it. Turns out he ended up having a girlfriend the whole time and I had no idea.
Now I know exactly who
So
we're talking about, so I can yes, I was there for that whole situation. It was absolutely terrible. If you have a girlfriend, I'm saying this right now. If you have a girlfriend and you're over here talking to somebody else and alluding to other things other than just friendship, you're the problem. You are branded
oh yeah.
100% like that
Oops, sorry, my mic fell. Sorry, y'all.
yeah. That is fuckboy status. Those are red flags. If you're I don't know, when I'm in a relationship with somebody, I've we become very close. If the girl that was dating this dude didn't notice that he was messaging you, like, how do you like not like? I don't know. I was a little bit
I don't know. It
like
was a weird
it
situation,
was it
but
was
I
and
knew I knew all the red flags and I saw all the red flags and like I still pursued it.
yeah,
But the
but
only thing I didn't know was that he had a girlfriend and
yeah,
I guess that's why I wasn't so hurt when things like when we didn't talk anymore, like when things ended
yeah, I wouldn't
because
have been
I was like, "Eh, you know, dude, these guys out here, some of these guys are here, literally like still
trifling
living with their parents. And not no shame,
with their parents. I'm
but
kidding.
no
My
job,
parents
nothing. You don't even have a freaking driver's license and you're out here like being trifling. Like no.
no
Anyway,
business.
but this Travis, he wasn't trifling at all. He actually had like his own house, his own car. He was, had a good head on. He got his shit together. He had a good head on his shoulders. So I'm
Sort of.
sure, sort of, I guess. I guess Jody saw this as like, oh, like this is a stable person, but not really, because like if you're not emotionally stable, and you're not, not you're there, leading a person on, like how stable are you really emotionally, right? So, she ended up like slashing his tires, and he never made a police report about it. All of his friends knew about it. He had known about it. And another thing, if your ex slashes the tires of your car, or if you get your
Yeah.
tires slashed in general, make a police report, please.
Oh yeah.
Or if you know you're being stalked, and you're like, just because it's a woman, doesn't mean it's not
There's
dangerous,
a lot of
and make a
stigma.
police report.
Yeah, there's a lot of stigma pretty much I'm certain every single community that like women that do things like that still can do no wrong, or like they like or I don't know. I feel like it's probably more of like a thing like you don't want. I feel like men probably feel ashamed if they were gonna go to the police and be like, "Oh, I know my ex-girlfriend slashed my tires," because they'd
Yeah.
be afraid
They're
that
gonna
they'd
look
be
down on them and be
yeah,
like, "Oh, you're being a little bitch," like,
yeah,
"Oh, you're weak."
yeah,
It's like, no. Like
machismo.
if your safety is being threatened, like your life depends on it, you need to go make that phone call. You need to go make that police report, because you
Absolutely,
never know, something may happen to you, and nobody
nobody's
like
gonna know.
nobody would know. Yeah. And luckily for Travis, he had friends that knew the whole situation that was happening. That's why in our last episode, if you heard it, I was talking about how it's so important to, even though you're in a relationship, to still keep in contact with your friends and
Yeah,
still maintain your friendships with your family and your friends, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that know you, and that are, going to be supportive to you through the time that you're being in that relationship.
yeah.
So, unluckily, or unlucky for Travis, um, Miss Arias decided to take a trip. Well, this was like after, so she moved back to California in spring 2008.
Mm-hmm.
The gun, you know, ends up being stolen. And then June 4th, she ends up going on a road trip to Utah to see another person from like prepaid legal,
Mm-hmm.
who she met, and was like a love interest of hers. So she ends up taking a detour.
She had like other love interests other than Travis.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
see.
she like, I think, cause he like he like sent her some pretty bad emails. He called her like a three-hole wonder,
What?
and
What does that mean?
yeah, huh?
What does that mean? What is a three-hole wonder?
Three-hole wonder, like your mouth, your your
Oh,
vagige, and your bussy.
what?
Yeah, yeah. He like called her a three-hole wonder and a
That is
whore and a slut, and
ridiculous. What the fuck?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
really
yeah. But
quickly,
like,
I have to say I have been insulted by previous men that I have either been courted by or such. If you're insulting me and calling me stuff like that, I'm not trying anymore. I'm
yeah.
on my way out. Like I'm
I think
by
I
these.
think
I probably would even punch you, and that's probably the extent of like where I would go. But damn, like, and she still was still trying to
No, no,
like.
no. I think by the time he called her those things, she was done.
She
Like
was like,
she was like, she's like, "Oh, it's on, bitch. It's on. I'm gonna go get you." And she took three gas cans, and she turned off her phone before entering Arizona, so that way
okay.
there would be no record of her being in Arizona,
So all of this was
and there'd be.
premeditated.
It was super fucking premeditated, of course. Sis was hella messy.
Oh.
Uh, yeah, she was hella messy. So, like we don't condone murder, right? We don't condone it, but there is no perfect crime, because if there was a perfect crime, the perfect crime is never solved. So, we're never going to hear of a perfect crime and how they did it, because it wouldn't be a solvable crime.
Yeah.
So sis took a road trip to Arizona, and they end up having sex. This is from what we know. They end up having sex,
My God.
and another thing. She rented a car too. She rented a car, and when she got to Travis's town, she ended up taking her license plates and flipping them upside down. Or she ended up
What?
taking out her license plates. Yes, and then she also rented a white car because white cars are not as suspicious. Apparently, I guess that's like a
This
thing.
whole thing was like, okay, wow.
She planned this out. She planned it out, everything. So during that time, I will say Travis had this other love interest. I think her name was Mimi Hall. She was gonna go on a, you know how like these MLMs sometimes they have like these little brand trips, that they
Yes.
have planned to Cancun, to like Hawaii, like islands, like stuff like that. Well, they had this trip planned to Cancun, and he was going to take Miss Mimi, and it is speculated that when Jody overheard that he was going to take this girl, she flipped out. But she says that she didn't know that Travis was going to take this girl to Cancun until his funeral, or his like little memorial service, which I think is utter bullshit. Because can you imagine if you go and you fucking travel all the way to Arizona from California, and you have sex with this person, and and they also took naughty pictures of themselves.
You naughty, naughty.
Naughty, naughty. And then all these things, you do all these things, I guess, in her mind, you do all these things for this man, and then he still ends up taking another woman to a
Yeah.
trip. That probably sent her over the edge.
Oh, yeah,
And
definitely.
plus, he had called her all of these things via email. So, I mean,
Also, if you're
you know,
receiving those emails, like, why not just
pero
like,
también, but at the same time, sis was being like crazy though. She was like
yeah,
stalking him. She was like slashing his tires, harassing the women that he was like dating. He didn't have a life
okay.
anymore because
I kind of want to
she
get
was
into the court. Do you have any information about the court case? Like, was there a psychologist that was brought in? Were there
Oh
questions that
yeah.
were asked of
So,
her? What I want to know is like, what was her motive behind doing all of those things? Like, what was her
well,
reason?
her reason, what she said was that she had um done it in self-defense. So apparently Travis this whole time was a you know, an abuser, a
Okay.
pedophile, um and he would emotionally and physically abuse her, and he was all these things.
Was any of this
And
proven?
no. So the only thing that she had against him was the fact that he was like a sexual deviant, and in none of her journals, and none of like she would write, diaries. Kind of reminds me of Gone Girl. Have you seen that movie Gone Girl?
Oh, yes. Oh, I
And
love that movie.
that was the perfect crime. You don't
Literally.
go and you don't go and you kill your husband. You fake your own death and pin it on him.
No, but you
Oh my
also play with
god.
your mind. You're like, I could pin it on someone else. Like,
Yeah.
if you stop screwing around and give me my perfect life. Because
Yeah.
that's essentially what happened in Gone Girl. Like,
Yeah, literally. Um so she used to, write journal entries and stuff, and nowhere in her journal entries did she ever mention that she was being abused. Nothing. There was no She didn't tell any friends that she was being abused. She didn't document any of, like, nothing. So the only thing that she did do, she had recorded one of their phone calls, um and they were having like phone sex, and
Oh,
then
that's all.
oh
Oh.
oh
No,
they
I'm
were
like,
having phone.
because like guys have been like, let's have phone sex, and I'm like, what for? Like, that's not gonna do anything for me.
I don't know.
Like
I
I'm,
I I don't
I'll
know.
just watch porn. Like, what the fuck? Like, at that point, like, if you're
Well,
diddling yourself because like
yeah,
you want
they
to be on the
she ended up
phone, like,
yeah, I don't know. She ended up recording them having phone sex, and he told her like after she had like climaxed, which I've heard the tapes. I've heard all of like the court case. Like I've done extensive research on this case, and you know, she was faking it. Come on, girl.
was
Like
it?
there
What
no
was the moans? What did the moan sound like? Can you make like a?
no, I'm not gonna do that. What the
I've
heck?
never heard it, but like, should I try? No, I'm kidding. I won't. Anyway,
Oh my god.
I'm sure it was
So
like some weeping, or some screeching, or something like that. Like,
no, it just to me it sounded like she was like just doing it for him. You know, like
okay.
not doing it for herself, but like just doing it to please him. And she yeah, so she ended up, climaxing, and then he said that it sounded like a 12-year-old having her first orgasm. And I was like,
Ah,
"Ah,
what the
why would you
fuck?
say that?" Yeah, that was the only thing that she had against him. Was that one thing that he said.
That's.
And that yeah. Yeah, it's kind of I
That
don't
would be
know.
a big no
Very
for.
yeah, if
Like,
I heard him say that to me, I would be
I
like, it's over for
yeah.
me.
Okay, what I want to know now, really quickly, is when was this video, not video, this recording taken? Like, what was this? Like, what was the
Well,
timeline of her pulling out?
this
Like,
this this recording was done 2 weeks before she killed him.
okay.
Can you
Um,
imagine?
it kind of just seems like like she was just pilot. You know what? You know what this was? It was not a crime of passion. It was a crime of he just kept knocking her down, beating
Degrading
her.
her.
And it got to the point where she was like, I just want revenge. It was not like a she couldn't. I'm sure at some point she was probably thinking, I can't turn this into I'm doing this as a crime of passion. I'm doing this as like I'm crazy. No, I feel like she was just genuinely like jealous, mad,
Petty.
angry, petty. So she was like, I'm just gonna kill you, fam. Like, you've done all of these fucking terrible things to me. But also I feel like it was probably because maybe she was like lonely, and like you said, we talked about how she um had gone through all of these past experiences with like these other terrible men, and then she got to this one,
Right.
and in her head she's thinking, this guy has everything that I want in a man, and I want to make it work. But eventually she just got to the point where it was too much for her to handle, but then it's also too much for her to get away from. She was too heavily invested, and I'm pretty sure to her, in her head, the only thing that was logical was kill him.
Yeah. I think she was more invested in him than he was invested in her.
I'm sure to him it was like
And
a game, and to her it was like, I'm serious about this and you're not taking it seriously. So boom.
yeah, literally. And he kind of eh, I'm not victim blaming or anything like that, but I guess yeah, I kind of am because how do you I think it's just like the stick like no, no, no. He even joked about it with his friends. Like not even joking, but like like being serious but like saying it in a joking manner. He was like, "If I end up dead, like you know who to call, you know who to
You know
blame
who
my murder
it
on."
is? Okay. Now, I mean,
He had it coming.
he only had himself to blame.
Oh my god.
I can go off.
Oh.
I love the cell block tango. Anyway, I just want to say I don't know what his intentions were, obviously, because we never got to find out what his intentions were. But in my mind, with what I've heard about him and what I've heard from the case, and all that. Like it sort of just kind of seemed like he was like
But she
playing
oh
on,
yeah.
like he was egging her on to see how far
She
it would.
overkilled him though.
She
You know how
overkilled
much?
it, but it's probably because he was literally, like I said, he was egging her on, trying to see how far he could go. But it was probably like one of those things where he probably like would go to his friends and be like, "Yeah, man, like I have a stalker," like like, and for some reason that's like cool. I guess I don't know, and that's kind of what I'm thinking was the mentality. Like it seemed like so cool for him to have a stalker, so cool for him to have this girl that's like he must be that fucking good that he could have a woman that crazy over him. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking.
Like, I think
Because
it fueled
why,
his
why did
ego.
yeah, it fueled his ego, but why didn't he ever stop things? Why weren't things ever stopped? Like,
Yeah.
and when I say stop things, I
Well,
mean
he tried.
okay, but I mean completely cut her out. She lives in California, not in Arizona anymore. Why not block her on everything and every time like get a restraining order, something, anything like and of course we talked about how he wasn't obviously gonna get a restraining order because he didn't want to feel ashamed, that man shame of like, oh,
Yeah.
I have to do this because it's a woman. Like, stuff like that. Which I think is ridiculous and like what the fuck? Like
Yeah,
he
it's your life.
uh, I don't condone what she did at all, but he literally could have just been like, this needs to stop. I feel like I'm in danger, and it never happened. So
I think he really didn't feel like that she would hurt him. I think he felt that maybe like he had it under control.
years and sending threatening emails to the girls that he was
I know. She was acting crazy. Like she was acting like a full on
yeah.
psychotic stalker. But
I do
I
feel
think
bad
he
for
really
her
felt like,
because
huh?
like I feel bad for her because of all the stuff that she went through, but I don't know. Like I kind of at some point I don't know where to throw my
The
sorrow because
blame.
blame, yeah,
Oh,
because I don't. I personally I feel bad for both of them because clearly both of them went through some stuff. And maybe, you know what? Maybe another reason why he didn't stop it is because he was so used to the trauma because of his upbringing.
his
Maybe
past.
yeah,
Yeah, that could be it.
it could be something like that too. And but that like we can't get into that because he's not here. He can't answer on any of those things. I feel bad for both of them. I feel bad for her because she went through all those things, and I feel bad for him because he lost his life. Like, and
Yeah.
it could have completely been avoided. I feel like it could have been avoided if one of the two parties was like, "Yeah, no, I'm out." You know?
I don't know. I think she was really persistent. And I'm not trying to say like that she's like I mean, clearly what she did was like despicable and evil, you know. But I think we all
We
are
have,
capable of doing bad things, right?
yeah.
And we're all not perfect, but at the same time,
Well,
like
I mean,
everybody it
I'm kidding.
you're not
I'm
gonna
kidding.
go what'd you say?
I was like, well, I'm pretty close. I'm kidding. I'm
Oh my god.
kidding. I'm not
So oh my god. So I think that we all have a potential to do bad things.
absolutely.
It just it just depends on I think how you were raised,
Hmm.
how much trauma you've really been through,
Okay.
and it's kind of like very much like those sociopathic tendencies
Yeah.
to kill somebody, like those feelings, like it's so crazy to think that she had that in her, like, this
Yeah.
whole time, and
I
it was just building. It was
yeah.
building and building, and he was, like, the perfect person that she idolized him,
Mhm.
and I think he thought he could have it under control. I think he thought that he had this he could control the situation, that he had it under control, and that, he was gonna eventually, like, dump her and that would be it,
Yeah.
but the problem is that he didn't have he didn't have a way to have sex with other Mormon people because he felt like they were too close to him and his community. So here's this girl offering herself up to him on a silver platter, how could he say no? How could he like turn her down?
Yeah.
Like, you know,
I guess
but
to wrap up
she
the story to wrap up the moral of the story, I guess, because every situation comes with like a learning experience. I feel like
right,
if you are in a friends with benefits situation or any kind of relationship for that matter, where you get mutual satisfaction out of either sex or even probably feelings. I'm sure feelings were involved. If you start noticing it going awry, if you start noticing it going south, if you start noticing it going down a path of it not being healthy for you, and the other person starts noticing that as well, put a stop to it. Because one, you'll save yourself that heartbreak, and two, you'll also, like we're all very much capable of doing pretty terrible things, I feel like, and nobody is all good, nobody's all bad. We're all combinations of both. But I feel like we all need to recognize where we need to put a stop to certain behaviors and certain things. So it's about being mindful. It's about communication. Obviously, we've talked about how like all relationships they stem from having some sort of communication. It sort of also seems like there was no communication in this. Like, because I don't know if I were going through the situation, if I were Jody, or even if I was Travis, I feel like at one point I would have sat down with this person and been like, and from Jody's perspective, I would have been like, please stop hurting me this way. It's really screwing with me. Um, I'm Audi 5000, or, fix this behavior. Let's see where things go. And then if it's Travis being like, no, I don't want to be with you because stupid Mormon rules. Sorry, not stupid. Oh my God.
but you know what, what we mean.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Um, he clearly wanted to find a good Mormon girl, and he could have just easily communicated to her, we cannot be together. I'm so sorry that I led you on. We it's not healthy for us. People don't understand accountability, I guess, is what I'm trying to say as well. And that's
Yeah.
one thing that I feel like everyone needs to learn: accountability and learn communication and learn how to combine those two to have a good conversation to avoid somebody getting overkilled, like, or getting your heart broken as well. That's the other thing.
Oh yeah. And if you end up, because like, I guess not. mm, I guess for me, I would never put myself in that situation, like that friends with benefits situation.
Well, it started
But
as kind of like a relationshipy type of thing.
yeah, it did. It started as a relationship and it ended up being like a friends with benefits thing. But I like what I'm saying is that if you end up getting into a like a friends with benefits situation, even like just as friends in general, I think you both have to set really, really, really distinct boundaries. And this is we're not gonna catch feelings. This is purely just for sex, and that is it. No
Mhm.
strings attached, no nothing. And you can't get jealous if I'm talking to other people, and I can't get jealous if you're talking to other people on the side
Yeah.
as well, but we're going to be strictly just sexual partners, and that's it. You
Sometimes even
know,
like impossible though. Like really it is.
I mean, but I feel like if you define those terms and somebody breaks that,
Yeah.
then it's motive for you to get out of that situation.
It
And
should.
and 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 by putting those boundaries, you it's kind of like a contract in a way. It's like a spoken contract. Like, this is what we're gonna do, this is what's gonna happen, and this is what we're not gonna do. And
Mhm.
if either one of us, you know, um, you know, um doesn't follow through with the contract or doesn't follow through with the rules of this relationship, then we are going to just dissolve it, you know. And I know it's easier said than done, but just make sure that you both are on the same page before you enter these relationships, because you can enter a really you can get into a really dangerous situation like this.
Yeah.
And not saying that our viewers are murderers or anything like that, or they have those feelings, but you never know that what you know things happen so fast that you don't know if you find yourself in a situation like that, whether you're the aggressor or the victim, you know, it goes both
Yeah, I think
ways.
also
So
what we're
both.
yeah. That's the extreme. I feel like that's saying the extreme, but we all like
Yeah.
I also would what I obviously it's we don't live in a perfect world where we would be able like I don't want any of my friends and or any of the people who listen to this podcast to ever go through heartbreak. Of course it does help in teaching you things. It does teach heartbreak does teach you things. But I feel like, if we can avoid even the slightest bit of heartbreak, we can learn from certain situations and stuff like that. But I hate when I get heartbroken. It's probably one of the worst feelings that I have gone through. I cry. I really go through it, and I know that you've been through it as well. And it's one of the suckiest things to feel. With situations like this, what we're also I feel like trying to tell people to avoid is also like save your heart, secure your heart, secure your heart because when it gets broken, we can be it throws us into like some pretty dark places.
Oh
It really
yeah.
and
Not just like in dark places about, you know, harming other people, but also harming yourself, you
yeah,
know?
absolutely. It's a thing. And I feel like that's we'll get into to things like that a little bit more like later, but you being a little bit selfish with yourself is extremely important as well in the sense that like you need self-care. We all need self-care, and if you haven't taken the time to sit back and think like, am I okay to be doing this, like to be in a friends with benefits relationships? Am I okay to be in any kind of relationship, or am I still going through some stuff, and like I feel like that's
Yeah.
probably one thing that our I always say she's probably Lydia's probably thinking like, oh my god, you literally always say this. One of the biggest problems in I feel like in America in the school system in our like in the area, whatever, mental health is always put on the back burner.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
and only just now are we starting to make mental health like a big
Priority.
priority. Yeah. But why hasn't it always been a huge priority? Because when you think about like psychology from the past and how things were done before, a lot of things in like the books like the DSM, like the DSM is like the big thing that is referenced. It's referenced in quite a few psychology textbooks. I'm throwing in my little like psych hat. The DSM, we're at the DSM-5. I think I haven't taken a psych class. The last psych class that I remember paying attention to, we were on the DSM-5. But a lot of the DSM before that all had certain things in there that were considered mental health. Sorry, were considered mental health related that were not even mental health. Like gayness was like being gay, being LGBTQ was considered a disease of the brain, a disease of the mind. Oh, a while back, and it only just recently got revised. There's still a lot of stuff that has not been talked about in psychology when it comes to LGBTQ stuff, but also um, it it's so hard to fully be able to for people are not ready to get out of cycles of abuse, and people are not ready to get out of anxiety or depression and stuff like that until you start doing the work yourself. And it's something that I know that I've talked extensively with not only my friends but like family members, everybody that I've talked to. Like, you have to start taking those first steps, and mental health is one thing that I feel like in America is always put on the back burner, and it needs to be taught more. That's the only thing I'm saying is like you're important, and being selfish about yourself is not bad. It is not bad even in the slightest. Like, no one's going to think that you're terrible just because you are not ready to have certain conversations, you know?
Yeah. But you also have to be like responsible too, for your own feelings and stuff.
Yeah,
Not just
absolutely.
like, you know, if if you see yourself that you think you're, in a cycle of abuse, you need to be mature enough to see it
Yeah.
and also remove yourself from that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's very much. I know sometimes it could be hard to step back and and kind of question the other person's motives,
Yeah.
and also question your motives as well. Like, why am I still in this relationship? Like, why am I still putting myself through this?
Mm-hmm.
The why. When you find out what the why is, which was what my therapist said, um, literally, because
Okay.
because
I need to explain why I chuckle. I don't chuckle because like I'm laughing at the fact that Sidia has a therapist. No, I chuckle because Sidia's quote. Mine is always like segue. Sidia's is
are you laughing at me?
Sidia's thing is always like, but what my therapist says. My therapist always
I
says.
mean, well, because I
It's
see a
cute. It's
therapist.
so cute. Like that you're always like
Well,
"See a therapist," and like and it's important to see. If you feel like you need to see a therapist, please do it. It's important
yeah,
to be done.
I'm taking care of my mental health right now. I'm
Yeah.
taking care of me, and from what I have learned from my therapist, he says, because I recently have gone through like a breakup and stuff,
Mhm.
and he tells me, he's like, you keep talking about this relationship and why, and the whys. So what did you learn from that? And then once you
Yeah.
learn from that relationship what you learned from it, then you can move forward and be like, okay, I know why, and this is what I learned, and this is how I can move forward, in future relationships, or just stay single forever.
Oh my god,
Or whatever the case. Huh?
don't stay single. I want you. I want to see you happy, healthy, with a man this
Man.
of your own, and like 30 little kids running around that all look like little.
Ew.
I want little CDs running around. I want little. You have to
Whoever.
whoever. Yeah, whom she's single, guys. She's single,
Oh my god. I
and
am single. I am not sure I'm ready to mingle.
eventually, we will put out kind of like promo pictures of the both of us. I mean, of course, all of our friends know what we look like, but if random people get a hold of our podcast and they don't know what we look like, we will have pictures on our social media of us, like on Pillow Talk. I want to do like a little photo shoot so that people can see what we look like.
Oh yeah, for sure.
My
We can
fakeness
do
looks
that.
like 'cause I'm probably gonna be like in full makeup.
Yes. Oh my god. So, from what we can, I guess, in general, from what we can learn of the situation is, you know, um, recognize where the red flags are,
Yes.
and mentally prepare yourself to remove yourself from a situation that you feel that is not healthy.
Uh huh.
And not only that, but also, um, if once you leave that situation, just see it as a learning experience. Not
Yes.
Don't beat yourself up over it too much.
Yeah.
Um, and with that, we are just about out of time already, which is
Or
like, whoa, this is crazy.
that went
But
by,
yeah,
I
we thank
feel like
you all.
that went by really fast.
Fast.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, wow. We're on our second episode. We just finished our second episode.
yeah, and I can
And
say like our cute little goodbyes and
yeah,
stuff.
I
Good
mean,
signing off from the Pillow Talk from Jacob, and now
yes. And then also goodbye from me too. Thank you all for listening again from wherever you are. Stay safe. Take care of yourselves and keep going.
yes,
Okay? Just keep going. Things are going to get better for you, for everybody. Yeah, take care of yourselves, and we will see you on the next episode. Or
absolutely.
you'll hear from us on the
You'll
next
hear from
next
you'll hear
episode.
from us. They'll
All
see us
right. Bye.
eventually.
Yes, eventually. All right.
Bye.
Bye guys.
it, but